I think we are good to start. Aravind, it would be great if you could start the recording as well. Done. So, very good evening to one and all present here. Today, we have the honor of hosting Mr. Teja Prakash Kakarla with us, the co founder of Netrin Sports Technologies. It's founded in 2019. Netrin Sports Technologies is a research focused organization based out of IIT Madras, which focuses on human performance and builds next generation wearable products and services in sports, lifestyle, and wellness. So let us now kickstart our conversation with Mr. Teja to understand the business better. So, sir, my first question is, as usual, where did you get this inspiration to combine sports and technology? I mean, where did it all start?
First of all, thank you for the warm welcome, Saloni. And to start with, the story started when we were, I mean, the founding team, we are all colleagues when we worked. And we started working more on medtech side, wherein medical technologies and wearables for clinical applications. So that is when we were wondering, why don't sports actually have such a thing? But then the major decision happened when we looked at the current state of wearables that are already being used in the sports market. So if you look at any smartwatches, even Apple Watch or any kind of gadget that we are using today, one thing is all these gadgets are giving you or dumping you with numbers, a lot of data. So it's one gadget says your heart rate is this much, one gadget says your SpO2 is this much, one gadget says your stress is this much. So what exactly can you make sense out of it? Only when you make sense out of the data and ensure that you act upon the data. So that is where you make use of whatever that gadget is, that is the actual use. So that is where Netrin was formed, to build and connect those dots and build the stories for the users so that they can make sense out of all the data points and make better decisions with information.
Okay, that's great to know because you rightly pointed out there's a lot of data and it's of no use until we can make some real sense out of it. Right. So, sir, could you tell us more about your products? Because I see you have two major products, Tranquil and Repose, right? So, what are they and how do they work actually?
Yeah. So initially, Tranquil was not even a product. I mean, even today, Tranquil is just a baby step that we have taken in the early days of Netrin, wherein pandemic was high. I mean, everyone was at in the lockdown, where most of us were going through a lot of stress, and even work stress was a completely different thing because we were introduced to work from home during all of a sudden, and that shift had a lot of impact on mental health of a lot of people. So what we thought was, why don't we build an app where a lot of people can just freely download and assess themselves, wherein how are they holding up. So that was the product of Tranquil, wherein I mean, that was a free product that we just built so that people can actually make use of the standard questionnaires which psychologists or even any mental health expert would be asking. So we standardize, I mean, we took standard questions, we kind of arrange them in a decent way to understand the overall wellness aspect of an individual. So that is how Tranquil was formed. But the actual commercial product is Repose. Repose is the first of its kind in Asia, wherein we created this product to understand the lifestyle of individuals and its effect on long-term well-being of the individuals. So we came up with this idea because most of the individuals I mean, in today's generation are prone towards diabetic conditions or hypertension or cardiac issues. So all these things are more or less lifestyle based issues. And to prevent all these things earlier, I mean, in maybe my dad's generation or even before that, they used to say cardiac arrest is something which is common in 60s. But these days it is very, very common even in 35 plus category. 35 to 45 itself, we are seeing a lot of people having cardiac arrests, even a lot of people getting diabetes also. So this is because of the lifestyle shift that is happening. And what we thought was, why don't we have one product actually to ensure that we are on the preventive side of things. So that is the story behind how we came up with the first product, Repose. And Repose actually is a fusion of, I would say, clinical grade accuracy, and at the same time, consumer grade wearable form factor, so that even we are very easy to, I mean, the product is easy to use, unlike the clinical setup. So we've used both clinical grade accuracy and wearable form factor to bring out this Repose.
Now that really sounded quite interesting, but I have this follow-up question for you. So when we talk about the lifestyle or performance of an individual, so I believe it depends on the physiology of an individual, right? So is
True.
it really possible to measure such factors with accuracy and precision? I mean, what's the science behind it all?
Definitely, that's actually a wonderful question, because most of us, even today, believe that whatever we are going through, that is a stress or something, is not something that is not quantifiable. That is the feeling that we have today. But today's technology has achieved and advanced so much that even we can understand our physiological responses in a very accurate way. So to start with, I'd say, I'll just give a brief way in which our body works, so that you'll understand how we are quantifying the responses of the body. So to start with, any human body responds in two ways. That is, whether you're thinking, whether you're doing something, whatever might be the act that you're doing, that puts your body in a excited state. That is what we called as a stressed state. Stress is not always bad. Stress is also good. So we understand. I mean, that is a one state called stress state, and then there is a relaxed state wherein you don't do anything and you just recover from whatever you're doing. So these are the two responses of the body at any instance of time. For example, now I'm talking, I'm excited, which is means that I'm in a stressed state. Suppose, let's say you're thinking about something, or thinking, I mean, you're brainstorming, all these things. Even if you're listening music, that is a certain sort of exertion that is happening. And also it might give certain sort of relaxation also, depending on what kind of music you're listening to. So these are the two ways in which our body responds. And to speak in scientific terms, we have our autonomous nervous system, which functions in two states, which is sympathetic response and parasympathetic response. So this sympathetic response is where I was talking about a stressed state, and parasympathetic response is the recovery or the relaxed state. So we understand through wearable technology, we understand how these responses are happening in our body to quantify the outputs of these responses. So that is how we understand whether a person is being stressed or relaxed, so that we can take necessary actions, whether it is that is what is intended or not. Based on that, we can take necessary action. So this is basically the fundamental idea behind how our body works, and how we uh, what do you call, tap on that information to give you quantifiable data.
That was really very well explained, sir. I now have a clear picture. And that takes me to my next question, which is while you were developing this technology or this idea, so can you list out some of the challenges that you faced for us?
Yeah. So to start with, stress is not. So the stress as such was a very vague or an emotional feeling, is what we conceive till today. But we understood that there is something that is happening, and there is a way that has to be captured. So to understand that itself was a first hurdle. And second, I would say, finding out that right parameter to convey that, okay, this is what is the right parameter to establish connection to our body's response and connect it to the stress. So we call it heart rate variability. And today, heart rate variability is a very well established parameter to understand stress and recovery responses in clinical community. and even global at a global scale also there are a lot of publications who use heart rate variability as a measure. I mean, when I meant heart rate variability, I'll explain a small, I mean, maybe I'll take an analogy here. For example, you are attending an interview, you feel that your heart is pounding, which is your heart is beating faster and faster, right? So which means that the time gap between each heartbeat is very very less. That's why you feel it's beating faster. And when you're relaxed, you don't even know that your heart is beating. So that's how far the gap between each heartbeat is. So this variation in heartbeat is what is called heart rate variability. So we understand that parameter to give all these responses. So to quantify that is again, what do you call? So to come up with quantification is one hurdle, and then aligning it towards lifestyle is a completely different problem statement there. So each of us has a different kind of so for example, you have a different level of stress when you're talking to me right now, and when I'm talking to you I might have a different kind of stress. So at any given instant of time everyone has their own responses, and that cannot be compared. So how do I bring something which at least I can compare with myself on a daily basis? So that base level is again something which was a key point that has to be decided. So that was one more hurdle, and there are a lot more I should go if I go on. So in fact, I'd say this product is a result of 8 years of our research at IIT. So it's not like a simple maybe like a 6 months down we just built some product, and we are not doing that.
I'm sure, sir, in hindsight, I feel you would agree that those challenges were actually the building blocks which have brought
True,
us here right now.
true, true,
So,
true.
sir, now having understood the product so well, I would want to go back and understand your journey as an entrepreneur. So, how has
Mhm.
it been?
So I graduated my master's in 2015, and immediately I started one company called Stratum. And this is based on additive manufacturing, wherein at that point of time 3D printing was very fancy. And given my background from mechanical engineering, and I was like, okay, let me do this. So I started offering services, and it was like a very good journey that was happening. But then I somehow I mean, I came to an understanding after 1 years of progress that this business model of offering 3D printing services to companies might not be a scalable model, because today, I mean, at that instant of time, 3D printer was slightly new, and printer was not even that costly, I would say. Hardly you were getting a hobby printer for 20K and a good printer for 5 lakhs. And any industry can actually put in that 5 lakhs and buy a printer to and cater their own services. So that was something which I realized within 1 years of time span, after providing a lot of services to multiple industries. So that is when I kind of closed the first startup, and on a positive note. So I kind of made some money. That is good. And then I shifted myself, because my orientation was slightly towards research most of the time. Not I'm Though I have started this, I have learned business skills and all these things through that 1 year, I still was uh, intending towards research angle. So that's when I started working as a professor in one college in Hyderabad for 1 year, and then I shifted to IIT Madras for research purposes. And that is where I met my founding team, and we started working on many things. And what you're seeing today is just one among them.
Definitely, it's your love for research that is, that we are able to see such disrupting ideas emerging from you.
Yeah.
So, sir, the next question is, how did you end up with this particular name, Netrin? Is there any particular reason behind it?
So that's actually a funny thing, as in, so founding, we are three founding members, and we were just sitting, and I mean, There is a last date for doing the registration of all these things, and people are on us, and we were like, okay, what is the name? We had something else in mind, but then none of us were, I mean, all three of us were not agreeing to that, and then we thought, okay, let us take something else. Then we were discussing, we dropped down all the major umbrellas that we were working in, and gave a larger vision to the company. And then we thought, okay, performance is the thing that we will be driving through Netrin, and that guiding performance is what matters. So when I told you earlier also, when we said you get data, but what you do out of that data is very important. So that is exactly where Netrin is guiding humans performance through the data. So Netrin, as such, the name Netrin is actually a class of proteins in the body that guides your growth, so that I mean, from the initial stages of early birth, even within your mother's womb also, the how tissues grow and everything is actually guided by a protein called Netrin. So that is how we drew the analogy between guiding performance and guiding growth.
Exactly, sir. You very rightly pointed out. So, when I was going to look up your startup on Google, I first entered the first name, and what I found was a class of proteins
Yeah.
emerging up. So, that was a good medical knowledge for me. Um, Anyways, so having discussed the product and your journey, I would now like to come to the market scenario. So, sir, as we know, sports tech is relatively new to India, right? It's still a new market. So, what
Yeah.
has been your go to market strategy? As in, what has been your plan to take your product to the market in terms of the price, promotions, everything?
So I'd say India is a very complex market. I mean, in any sector, but sports tech is even complex. Not only from the way in which tech or advancements are in technology are there today, but it is also complex in terms of how tech is being accepted in the by the stakeholders of the ecosystem. So there we have multiple stakeholders in the sporting ecosystem. One starting with athletes everywhere, and coaches, and then infrastructural facilitators, and then you have all these athlete managers who actually manage or understand what an athlete should promote, should not promote, or a product should be used or should not be used. These people actually decide. And even let's say on the promotion side, if we want some athlete to actually promote our product, even there are big decision makers who say, okay, this is a good product to go, or this should not be done. So there are multiple stakeholders, and it has been quite a long journey for us. And through those 8 years, we were not only working on the product, but also working on understanding the sports tech ecosystem through. So I was traveling across, I was talking to multiple people from sporting ecosystem, so that I get a pulse of the Indian market as such. So that is where I understood that athlete should not be the person, or athlete might not be the person who will be having a spending capacity to I mean, use or buy the products from us. So that is exactly where we decided that, okay, our products will be a B2B based market. In certain cases might be a B2B2C, but definitely not directly a B2C product. So maybe future products, we don't know how we will be pushing out, but currently whatever we are doing is on a B2B model. And here we engage with the organizations, make them understand the value addition that this platform or the tool that we have developed through Repose can actually add value to the athletes on their long term wellness. So, and one more thing is, what we are providing through Repos is more like a long-term, what do you call, long-term resulting product, rather than instantly giving you or telling you that, okay, this is wrong, you have to close this. So what we have is a very periodically planned product, wherein you use the product today for the first time, you will understand what is your current profile or current baseline, and then you have a coach or a psychologist or a behavioral therapist or a nutritionist, any kind of person who understands that, okay, there is something wrong that is happening with you and that has to be corrected. So there these people come into place, and they actually provide their service so that it can be corrected. So on a on a periodic basis we do regular assessments to ensure that you are on right track of intervention, whether whatever these coaches are telling you is actually affecting in a high performance for you or not. So basically what happens is if we look at ways of coaching today, it's more or less a generic way. We say that okay, if you are stressed out, you go do meditation. That is the first thing that you usually listen from anyone if you say you are stressed. But is it the only way to solve that, or is it the right way to solve that? That is because you see your stress might be because of something else. Maybe you would have lost a match, then you could have that would be the trigger for stress. But you should understand what is the exact cause of stress or whatever might be the problem. You should understand the root cause of the problem and try to customize and personalize the solution to ensure that you are being benefited. So that way what we were trying to do is we were working with organization on the whole and customizing each of these intervention protocols for each athlete. So there it is more or less like the product was not directly meant for the athlete, but it is actually meant for the coaches and the coaching ecosystem as such to ensure that the athlete is on the right track. So this became a tool for all these coaching partners. So that is the way in which we try to push, saying that okay, this is a product for organizations and not directly for athletes. So that way, that is how we decided the the way we got to market. And promotions, as in see, most of these coaches are not on any social media platform. We just go there and post something and they buy. It's not, it doesn't happen that way. So that is again one more hurdle from the business aspect, wherein we had to reach them in person most of the times. And even Google Meets and Google calls, there was always a friction when it comes to tech adaptation. So we had to go there, give multiple demos and make them understand the value that we are bringing in, because this is all new to them. And if something is new and if you're in your comfort zone, you will always refrain from doing that something. So that is exactly the push that we had to give to the end users here. So that was when one big problem in the business aspects.
Okay, now I do have some clarity, sir, of what the product is actually and how is it going in the market. But then I'm also curious to know, now that you've mentioned that it is targeted at a specific segment in the sports industry, that is the coaches. So can you throw some light on the pricing strategy that you're following?
Yeah, so what we do is we have a yearly subscription so that the athletes can take any number of assessments during the period. And because it depends on the kind of intervention. For example, if you are asking an athlete to lose weight, it takes a bit of time for them to lose weight. And whatever activities or the protocol that the athlete is following to lose weight, it is again something which has to be monitored. So this way what we are trying to do here is, depending on the number of assessments that is required by the individual athlete, the coach or the interventionist, that's how we call them. So the interventionist, however they require, they can ask the athletes to take a assessment. So this is the main reason we push them on a yearly subscription.
Okay,
and
that's
if anyone is just interested in taking one assessment, we have certain options, but we prefer at least a 6-month engagement, so that because any change to be reflected, it needs a minimum of 4 months kind of a time.
that's great to know, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, my next question is, so have you identified any direct or indirect competitor in the market, or do you have the first mover advantage in this segment?
If you ask me about the platform as such, it's a first of its kind. But then what is happening is people relying on multiple gadgets, any kind of smartwatches people are using. So what they're feeling is, my smartwatch is giving me numbers, so why should I use this? So that is the comparison that is happening, which is something we felt more or less like a competition. Because it's an indirect competition that is coming in from a different market segment, but at the same time we know that we add a lot of value beyond what these gadgets are trying to add today. Because what is happening is I'll tell you certain limitations of all these smartwatches. And that's how we kind of decided, okay, we will go with a wearable that is worn on the chest and not on the wrist space. So first thing is the modality in which the data is acquired itself is completely different with smartwatches and the chest strap that we have. So there is something called, you might have seen all the green light coming from all these gadgets, right? So basically that's the optic based way of getting the data. Whereas what we do is a chest based, wherein we look at electric potential. So ECG is something you might have heard of in hospitals. So what we and anything related to cardiac diagnosis is ECG is the gold standard that we use in clinical studies. So we decided that we will go with ECG as a primary modality so that the accuracy is remained intact and the information that we are getting will be reliable. Because one more thing is there might be a lot of motion involved, whatever might be that. Even now when I'm talking, I move my hands a lot. So which means that it actually corrupts the data that you are getting on a full length basis. And besides all these things, at this instant it will tell you, or your watch will tell you that your stress score is this much, but or your sleep quality is low, you have to improve your sleep quality. But what we are trying to do is capture a snapshot of your lifestyle for 24 hours, and then we understand, okay, this activity is causing you stress, or you did this particular, or you had like a late dinner just before bed, and then you went to sleep, and that is exactly causing the reduction in sleep quality. So those kind of getting the entire snapshot of lifestyle is not something which all these devices are providing. So that is the biggest difference, I would say. But at the same time, these are the indirect competitors that we have.
Uh, well said, sir. But then in my research, I also found out that not only startups, but big IT giants like Tech Mahindra, Wipro, they are also venturing into this area, signing
Yes.
partnerships and deals. So, do you think because they also have the capital and the human force to make things happen? So, do you think they can be your competitor in the near future, or what plans do you have to sustain your stand?
Mm. So first thing is, I'd say we are strongly backed by the accurate algorithms that we have developed over 8 years. And if we took 8 years, maybe with quite a good amount of money pumping in, also they might take at least 3 to 5 years of time to standardize their own algorithms to come. So that is one thing wherein I would say from a MNC point of view, where they have a lot of money, it's easy for them to get the product on the line faster. But the missing link is a completely different thing where they can actually add as a complementary factor with us. So I wouldn't say these people are competitors for us, but I would say these people would be complementing their own services along with our product so that we close the loop. For example, after assessing, after taking a 24-hour lifestyle assessment with us, whatever we are providing with a small group of interventionists is something they can scale it up easily. So, for example, today HCL Healthcare has healthcare units inside their campuses, which means a small sized hospital is already present, and the clients or their own employees are their customers, and which means everything is intact there. Only thing that they need is something like us who will tell that, okay, this person has to be taken into a particular care program so that we can prevent these issues. So that way I don't see them as a competitor but a complementing partner.
That's really a positive way to look at it, sir. Let us move to the next question that I have. Sir, as you know, COVID has very long been a part of all of our lives, so we cannot just ignore it. So my next question is, I would like to know what was the impact of COVID on this industry as a whole, and at your startup, to be specific.
So, COVID actually helped us, I would say. I mean, because before COVID, I mean, we started in 2019 September to commercialize the product, and before COVID, we were working on a manual basis, as in we take the device to the athlete, we ask them to take an assessment, then we collect back the device, then go to our lab, sit and generate reports and give it to them. So this was the whole process. But then during COVID, what happened was all the places were shut. We couldn't go to the athletes directly, ask them to take manual things. So that is when it actually helped us to automate. So all the time then was pushed into automating the entire process. So today, if you see immediately after you complete your 24-hour session, within seconds, you will be having your report at your hand. So that is the level of automation that went into place, and all these algorithms which were run locally were kind of hosted now, and everything is on cloud now, and everything is automated. So today a lot of people ask us, okay, is there a dependency on you guys when people have to take multiple sessions in a year? But what we say today is we just give the device once and we forget, as in you don't need to get back to us on a daily basis for whenever you want to take an assessment. So that is something which we achieved during COVID. That was one benefit, I would say. But at the same time, COVID made us pivot of on what we were launching first. So this was not the product that we had in mind to launch first, but because of the extent of research completion that happened on this particular product, and at the same time we couldn't progress on the others because of the lockdown situation. So that I mean, the other products require a lot of on-field interactions with athletes, getting data from the athletes. So all these things could not be done. So that way, I would say that was slightly a hurdle on pausing the other pipeline. But this was something which we already had in place manually, so we kind of automated. So that was yeah, COVID kind of pivoted our approach to the market, and what is the product was also completely changed on what we released first.
So, this makes me remember one line that I've been hearing for so long, "Aapda ko avsar mein badalna." So, I
Ah,
think that was what you guys did during
yeah.
COVID.
Yes, yes, yes.
And meanwhile, I also, just one more question popped up in my mind. So, what exactly is the distribution channel that you're following?
So currently in India, we directly ship it to the organizations across pan India. There is no distribution channel for us, but there are a couple of places in abroad where we have certain partners who are actually taking up our products and then distributing there. It's not, I wouldn't say it as a distribution channel, but then it's more like helping us reach out to the customers. That's how it is happening today. But yeah, we are looking at partners for our products to be shipped globally. Distribution channels, we are setting it up.
Definitely, we would like to see more of it. Mr. Teja, I see we are close to exhausting the time we had. So, I'll just pose a last question before we move to the audience and listen to what they have to say. So, my one final question to you would be, what is the expansion strategy that you're going to follow? And what more can we expect from Netrin in the future?
So what we have today is just the tip that you're seeing in the sports tech industry, I'd say, because I mean, people are amazed by what we are doing in the sports tech field. I mean, when people from abroad and other places they visit our research lab, they are like, you are doing something. But I wouldn't say what we are doing, but yeah, I'd say the tip, it's just the tip that you're seeing today. But on the other lines of expansion, so today's product, that is Repose, is something which we are planning to expand globally. So to start with, maybe we'll be addressing the UAE market and also Asia Pacific market. So that is the first line of expansion that we are looking at. And maybe, yes, going forward, we might be also looking at US and UK for Repose. But in fact, in US, we already have slight amount of presence. So that way, Repose is on a roll. But then there are multiple other products, and even in June, we are releasing one product which is especially made for coaches so that they can guide performance of their athletes. So this is meant for coaches, and we'll be releasing soon in June, July timeline. So that is something which we have in pipeline, and then there is Meta and VR, AR stuff. So a lot of exciting things to come forward. Yeah.
Okay, but then I remember you also said the earlier product that we already have, Repose, is projected towards the B2B channel. And
Yes.
so, are there any other segments of the sports industry that we're targeting apart from the coaches or the decision makers?
I would say no. Currently, coaches would be the only, or the organizations, clubs and organizations would be the only target audience for us.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for all of your answers. And I'm sure the audience has a lot to take away from this conversation. I would now request the audience to go ahead and
Hi,
ask the questions they might
I'm
have.
Thiru here.
Hi, Thiru.
Yes, Mr. Thiru.
Hi, Teja. So you say that coaches will use it. So coaches will use on how many students?
It depends on their athlete. I mean,
Right. So it's a variable, right? How
yeah,
many variables?
it's a variable.
How many
It's a
how many
variable.
number of variables you give?
It depends on the. I mean, so the subscription that we have is actually based on an athlete. So, for example, if you are an academy, you can take any number, depending on the number of athletes your academy is having, you can take those many accounts as a subscription.
You meant to say since it's a variable, let's say is it for athletics or any specific game?
No, any sport, any sport.
So what is the data it gives?
So basically, after so the current Repose product is more on wellness side of athletes for athletes. So here we understand the routine of athlete and tell them how is their emotional stress profile and how is their physical stress profile. And also we look at the recovery, that is cardiac based recovery, to understand whether the stress is being balanced with recovery or not. And since most of our recovery happens during sleep, we also add sleep quality estimation to this.
Okay.
So this is more on the athlete wellness side. Yeah.
Okay. What is in the future? So
So
let's
yeah,
say I'm
in June,
coaching, I'm
yeah,
doing
in June,
something for athletics, right?
uh,
So
oh,
you're concentrating on athletes, right? So
yes, yes.
so
Yeah.
what do I have? Because I run an academy here in Chennai,
Uh-huh. Oh, okay, okay.
right next to
Interesting.
where your company is in Velachery, right?
Okay, okay. So
So
may I know
I'd be
your
interested.
academy name, sir?
It's Oyabo.
Oebo. Okay. And it is
You're
for
Telugu? Are you
actually,
Telugu?
yeah, I can. Ah, okay. Now I can relate.
Oyabo is right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what.
yeah. I can relate. I can relate.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So,
So
is it based into athletics or any other sports?
athletics.
Interesting. Then definitely we will have a catch up. Maybe you can just direct me. I mean, you can message me directly so
I
that I can.
I just gave a missed call to the number which is on your web, right? But
Okay.
the thing is, I want to know what you're going to do in athletics. Let the audience hear
Definitely,
it.
definitely. So I wouldn't release the surprise today, but I'll definitely catch up with you. So we already have introductory program for certain coaches who are interested. So we
Mhm.
are already running alpha testing kind of thing with
Okay.
certain coaches already. So definitely I'd be interested to take it up because you're
So
already in
again,
the alpha.
is it a variable again?
Yeah, it is available again.
Okay. Now quickly to the technical part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how much data comes live and what is the battery? Where is it?
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
know.
basically, again, it is a chest-based wearable.
Mhm.
And second thing is with respect to the battery, it depends on how intensely you are using, and it's a replaceable coin cell battery that we are using.
Okay.
And second thing, I mean, the next one would be on the data, how much amount of data is live and other things. So out of let's say 100% of metrics that we are giving, out of 100%, we would be giving live around 70% of data we would be giving live for the product that we are launching in June.
Teja, I'm definitely okay with the data that is going to come out. My only issue is what is the weight you're going to wear on the athlete? How is it going to,
It's
because the
less
battery
than
and the instrument
less than
and
10 grams.
10 grams. Okay.
Yes, it's
But
less
that,
than 10 grams. Yeah, it's the
are you,
lightest that you can see. Yeah.
are you working with Manivannan, anyone? Professor Manivannan or someone? Arul or
Uh,
someone?
no, sir. No, no, no.
I am from IIT Madras Research Park.
Okay. Research park. Interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if
Then
you're in the
definitely
past
we'll
8 years back, you would have heard my name. My name is Thiru. I used to send email for the S-Mile, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Right, great. We'll get in touch.
We'll definitely catch up, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi there. This is Dr. Ram from Malaysia. Do you
Mhm.
do you also have any partners, abroad partners, sir?
That's what, sir. Today, I mean, as of today, what we are doing is we have a couple of well-wishers that we have in cities across the globe. There we are pushing products through them, but we do not exactly have a channel partners or a distribution partners.
Okay. If you have any, I just shared my LinkedIn profile in the link. Please
Sure.
connect us. We would like to see how we can help you to
Definitely.
collaborate
Definitely.
and move forward. Thank you, sir.
Definitely, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ram. Yeah. Thank you.
Interesting one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thiru and Mr. Ramana, for your questions. Do we have any more questions from the audience? You can directly unmute yourself or may even post your question in the chat box. So here, sir, we have one question from Nevedya Agrawal. The question is this product only for athletes? Can I monitor my stress level and will it help my work balance?
So this exactly is what happened on the field. So we started with athlete wellness. We were giving all these metrics for athletes, and a lot of individuals, normal individuals who are surrounding these athletes started asking, can we use it for our stress levels also? So that actually helped us find new markets. And today we are catering to corporate wellness. We are catering to even home care on subclinical cases. So yes, definitely, even normal individuals can use this product for their stress and work balance. Yes.
Thank you for your answer, sir. We'll just wait 2 more minutes to see if there are any more questions from the audience.
How big is the team, Teja? How many
We
members?
are around 30-35, sir.
Oh, 35 people. Wow. Okay. That's good.
I mean, we have diverse projects running. So yeah.
All from IIT or
Not like that. I mean, couple of people are from IIT and couple of are from multiple universities.
okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm a design thinker,
Ha,
Stanford certified. If you
great,
require
great.
any help on those aspects, please let me know.
Sure, sure, definitely.
Unifor, Ether Energy were some
Ah,
companies that I handled.
interesting, interesting.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. I have noted your number, so I'll give you a call.
Oh, sure. Okay. Right.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Karan. Yeah.
Yes. Sir, did you take expert inputs from psychology professionals to measure the emotions?
So we don't use expert insights for measuring these things, because what we are doing is directly understanding the responses from the body and giving that information or reflecting that information through data. And after we give this assessment report, there are psychologists and behavioral therapists who look into the data and address the problems. So they will do the services, they will do the interpretation, or I would say what is required to mitigate the issue, that would be done by psychologists. But currently what we do is a diagnosis part.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There's a question that I wanted to ask you, Mr.
Yes.
Teja. You just
Yeah.
mentioned that professionals will come to aid once you have collected the data. So, for
Yeah.
collecting the data and structuring the model, did you take any help from psychologists or psychiatrists for for creating that structure?
No, so I would also tell you, I mean, it has got nothing to do with how data is interpreted after data is received from you. So I mean, the moment you wear the device, what we do is collect your ECG data, and then we run our proprietary algorithms to get the information and quantify your stress and relaxed responses and give you a report. And maybe if I'm allowed, I can show you a sample report so that you guys can get a better clarity, because I keep on talking and there is a lot of gray area about how this report
Exactly. We'll be allowed to see it, please.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Definitely, sir. That would be
Just
great.
give me a second. Yeah. So assuming this is one 24-hour session that you're looking at, so what we provide is a plot like this, which gives the entire responses of your body for the 24 hours. So the current plot that you're looking at is the emotional stress plot, wherein the users are also allowed to journal what they were doing throughout the 24-hour session. So here, for example, cooking 7:30 to 8:30, they were cooking, and this is I think this is an report of a corporate professional. So yeah, from around 8:30 to 9 meal break, then working from 9 to 11:30. So there are multiple activities like this, and we understand how each activity is, I mean, how you are responding to each activity. And let me zoom into one particular activity. For example, here, yeah, cooking. So there is a, because you move a lot in the kitchen, there is a lot of physical activity that is involved, and yeah, the high stress that comes in. And you see yellow and orange, which are low and medium stress throughout excuse me. Yeah, throughout the working time, you see low and medium stress. And one section here, after lunch, there is a client meeting, which is again orange in red. And yeah, that's how we completely do onto the emotional stress side. And then we have a recovery plot. So we understand that what do you call stress cannot be eliminated completely from your lives, but what we understand is it should be managed well and balanced well with recovery. So that is the importance of giving you such a detailed understanding of stress and recovery here. So once you get the report, you should be understanding, okay, what is the kind of activity that is causing me better recovery, where can I introduce recovery sections within my routine, so that I can balance my stress and recovery. So that is something which we look at both from these plots, stress and recovery. Then we also have sleep plot, where we look into your light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. When you are lying awake, that is, you're just on bed but you're not sleeping. So that is something which we look at, and the number of times you woke up during sleep, how disturbed is your sleep, and then what is the time that you're actually taking to fall asleep once you're on bed. That is something we call a sleep latency. So all these things are something which we look at. And also, posture is exactly one feature which we introduced only after getting into corporate wellness, because a lot of people actually have a bad posture when they're working throughout the day. So we also introduce posture mapping so that you can understand how much time you're actually spending in wrong postures. So throughout the 24 hours, we have sitting erect, slouching forward, leaning forward, relaxed, reclined, all these things. And then obviously step count is again one more feature we added, just because it has to be catered to corporate people. So here again we understand not just the step count, but how intense is your activity and how distributed is your physical activity. Most of us think that having 10,000 steps in the morning is enough, and the rest 23 hours you can sleep or sit at one place. So that is actually a bad thing to do. Our body needs movement on a periodic basis. That is how it is made to or designed to be. So that is the main reason we look at the distribution of the physical activity or the step count, and not just asking you, okay, you meet this goal of 6,000 or 10,000 steps. So that is again something which we look at it from a different perspective. And one more thing is your heart rate zones, where we understand, let's say when you're working out or going for a run, it is important to place your intensity level correctly, because you might have seen a lot of people who are even who are being fit and other, I mean, even being physically fit, they had cardiac arrest all of a sudden. So that might be actually because what do you call, they might be pushing their limits without even understanding their current profiles. So that is something which we want to eradicate, and this exactly is what we provide to help them. So we understand the goals. For example, if you want to lose weight, then it is important for you to work out in the zone 1 and 2. Or if you are actually going for a skill based training, if you want to be a proper runner and you want to improve your endurance levels and all these things, we quantify them into zone 3. Depending on their goals, we actually say, okay, which zone is the good thing for them to work on. So yeah, there are multiple other things. I think you guys got a gist of how our report looks like.
Somebody was asking how do you do the posture analysis?
Yeah, so basically the sensor also has an IMU in it. So basically it's a motion sensor, so it will also detect your postures.
That was quite interesting, sir. So we have a message for you in the chat box as well
Okay.
from Mr. Gopi Chand.
Yeah. Thank you,
So
Gopi.
Teja,
Yeah,
uh,
I feel it is more like a halter system, because you understand the halter better. But it is way more lighter, I would say, and it is way more user friendly. And as you rightly mentioned, it is actually having a lot more analytics than just getting the ECG data as such. Yeah, thank you so much, Gopi.
so your system also suggests when to eat, how much to drink
No,
water.
we didn't get into the metabolic side of things yet.
Excuse me.
We didn't get into the metabolic side of things yet.
Okay. You know what happens? Stress, right? When you're going to play a match tomorrow,
Mm-mm-mm.
right? That happened to Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo,
Mm-mm. Yeah.
right? He was supposed to play the match, the finals. He couldn't play because whole night he couldn't sleep. Stress
Mm-mm-mm.
level. So what?
Yes.
How are you going to beat that? Okay, that's for your future.
Mm.
So it means that you have to lie down for a particular number of hours,
Yeah.
have water, be hydrated, and so on and so forth. Anyway, that's not my
Yeah,
lecture here. It's
no,
yours.
the point is rightly mentioned. So what we look at today, how we look at today is more or less on the day of the event or on the day when this problem might occur. That is exactly when we will be looking at it. But if things like this are already present, you would be on the preventive side. For example, when you're training your athlete itself, you will know that, okay, this person will have stress whenever there is a competition. When there are periodic assessments and the pattern is established, you would know that. So that way we can train them or treat them with certain kind of therapies, because again that is not my expertise. So you can actually have any psychologist treat them and reduce their anxiety levels about the event or competition. Yeah.
So I have students who have exams every quarter, right? And I have
Mm-hmm.
to prepare them for the exams as well as play them the games. This is a hint
Ah,
I'm giving you. Please look into it.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so
doing
much.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Teja, for answering all the questions very in a detailed way, very patiently. I would also like to thank all the participants for making the session very engaging and asking all of such good questions. I would request you to take some time and please fill out the feedback form, the link to which is in the chat box. Also, Mr. Teja, I feel really proud to have got the chance to interact with a passionate entrepreneur such as yourself. And I would also sincerely like to thank my startup Yatra for providing us all with such an amazing platform.
Thank you so much, Sarani. It is my pleasure also to interact all these people, and I mean, it's again a platform for us to, I would say, market. That is something which I did indirectly today. But there were a lot of good, interesting questions that came in from everyone here. I thank them to because these are the kind of questions even we face on the field. So it gives us a better reach to solve such problems and to answer such questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, my startup Yatra, for giving me this opportunity.
That's great to hear, sir. Also, before we close today's session, is there any message to the youth or to us that you would like to give?
Uh, I'd say just one thing. I'd say don't be more what do you call relying on data every moment, every moment of your life, but start enjoying. Make sure that whatever you are doing is related to the fundamentals of science, so that you will be on the right track always, and at the same time you should be trying to prevent whatever is happening through your lifestyle. So lifestyle is a big thing, and it is priority to self is something which we have to give first.
Definitely, Mr. Teja, that's some lifetime advice,
Yeah,
that we needed to hear.
thank you.
So that's all for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Teja.
Thank you.
We can close the session now. Thank you so much.